take it easy, baby, before you go away. You did me dirty, but you'll get yours one day. You better watch your step, watch your step. Eyes open wide, 'cause you'll be hurting down inside. You better give me back my money before you go away. Don't think I'm funny, that's all I got to say. You better watch your step, watch your step. Cause when you took your love from me, you left me down in misery. You better take it easy, baby, before you go away. You did me dirty, but you'll get yours one day. You better watch your step, watch your step. Keep your eyes open wide, 'cause you'll be hurting down inside. You better watch your step, watch your step.
Hello dear music lovers from all around the world. This was my cover version of Watch Your Step by Bobby Parker. Just two guitars, one tuned in standard tuning and the other in James Bud Ulmer's open A tuning. The first time I ever heard of Bobby Parker, or better, the first time I listened to his music was on a Red Lightning record. Red Lightning is a label from UK, and the album, the name of the album was Guitar Style Compilation. The song on the album was Blues Get Off My Shoulder, and it is one of my three favorite songs of Bobby Parker. The other two are Don't Drive Me Away and Titanic. The last one, like Blues Get Off My Shoulder, has Paul Williams backed Bobby Parker up. Paul Williams' best known song is The Hucklebuck, which was derived from a Charlie Parker tune. Charlie Parker, the alto saxophonist. And I always wondered how can I get more music of Bobby Parker after I heard Blues Get Off My Shoulder, and so I ordered some catalogs from the United Kingdom, and I sent a letter, an order to Brentford, or what's called Brentford in the United Kingdom, and I got some records back, like this one. It is a compilation, and they gave it me as a present, because what I did is I wrote a little chart, and I heard many Red Lightning records and Edsel records. Here, this is by Edsel, the Treniers. They distributed all those labels. Here's another one, the Big Three. It was a Mersey Beat band from Liverpool. Here's Here's the back side. And this was all the music I liked very much, especially in the 80s, early 80s. Here's Screaming Jay Hawkins, Red Lightning records from the 50s and until the 1970s. Walter Shaky Horton one side, Paul Butterfield on the other side. Great record, and of course a newer one, Charlie Musselwhite, a live recording with the Dinah Tones. Here's the back. But as you see, no Charlie Parker. I asked why they don't have, not Charlie Parker, excuse me, Bobby Parker. So I asked them how about to release a Bobby Parker record, and they said, first, thank you for your charts. That was very good and a very good idea, and that was they were very interested in it, and they gave me the first extra record as present. They also wrote, "Time is always our enemy, but we want to answer your question about Bobby Parker. We already tried to put a record out, but we gave up because Bobby Parker was, through all his career, he was label hopping, and all of these labels went bankrupt, and in 90% of the labels nobody knows really who owns the copyright, and that's a big problem for such a little label like Red Lightning and the other ones, because it can happen that after 7 years or so on, somebody suddenly appears and said, "Oh, I have the copyrights and I want that sum of money, and if you don't give the money to me, you have to put the records from the market." And they said that is too high, the risk is too high to put something out without knowing who really owns the copyright. Yes, and that's one, in my opinion, it's one of the big problems why Bobby Parker remained so unknown. Artistically, he should be known quite as well as Little Milton or Junior, Johnny Guitar Watson and people like that, but he isn't. The point is, he has no really reference recording from the 50s and 60s. Let's say his 20 or 16 or even 10 best songs from the 50s and 60s, the founding years of rhythm and blues and soul and so on, and he doesn't have that. He has a few songs on some Northern Soul compilation, and that's about all, and on this guitar star stuff, but that's not enough, and I think that is why he's not so much known. And I think he's much more. He has much more shades of sounds as other blues or rhythm blues musicians. Plus, he was not only a fine singer, but he was a really fine guitarist, and he could sound like Little Willie John or James Brown. And on the next record, he sounded like what did I write? Smokey Robinson on Little Anthony and the Imperials. Even that was almost a doo-wop. One record he sounded like doo-wop in the late 50s. And the problem is that he is not known for that, and blues alone, but he has not only so many labels, but so many styles. And I must admit, I liked him best when he is Bobby Parker, and he has really a unique guitar style, and he did write his songs by his own, and I have to admit it's no mystery that he's that unknown because of the missing reference LP or CD from the 1950s and 60s. Yes, one last point is I never met him, I never saw him live, but I met him on YouTube, and interesting thing was it was not about blues, but he was accused for spamming on a Lady Gaga video. He did comment anything, something negative. He said, when I remember correctly, I never met. I worked 50 years in show business, and I never saw such a mess like this recording and this so-called artist. And of course, all the Gaga fans went gaga and accused him for spamming and said, oh, he made just up that he's a blues legend, they never heard of him, and so on and so on. And from then on I knew that was the right guy, and I connected him, and he said his label dropped them, and they have the domain of his website, and he had a lot of problems. He's now well, he had cancer, but he won't get jobs because all the club owners and bookers think, oh, he might be not fit, and he might cancel his gigs, and he had no manager anymore, and he had to do all by himself from Facebook to YouTube, and he did not much. He did not know too well YouTube too well, and I told him how to do things, and that was a funny thing. I was in Berlin, and he was somewhere near Washington or in Baltimore, I don't know. And I told him, yeah, you have to do this, and all technical things. And yes, I have the playlist. Watch the playlist. You find a video of my other channel, 2011 Framat, and you will find there a video I did in 2010 or 11 when Bobby Parker was still living, and he put several comments in there, and yes, it has more about his life story, and you will see, and if you read it, that he did record and tour with Bo Diddley, Jimmy Reed, and I don't know, Paul Williams and Santana, and he played with Led Zeppelin and so on, Otis Williams and the Charms, that was a doo-wop group, so many different styles, so many musicians, and he was a musician, and he was a humble person from what I could read from his correspondence and on YouTube, and yes, I think he should be better remembered, and he would have turned on 31st of August 80, and though he's no longer with us, it's worth to check out his music, and I hope you will do it in the playlist. Thank you for listening. Bye.